Hi everybody, thank you very much for attending the Health and Safety Day today, the 13th of June 2012. As you know, Shell every year in June they have a Health and Safety Day to make sure that all the staff knows about the health and safety at work and also at the forecourt and also at home as well. Shell takes health and safety very seriously, and as you know, we do run 9 sites, and out of 9 sites we have managers who are looking after the day-to-day aspect of the health and safety, and they are training their staff at the site level, and overall David is overseeing the health and safety aspect of the whole cluster. And our champion of the health and safety is David. And I'd like to introduce David to go through the health and safety aspect of workplace. David.
Thank you very much, Mark. The first aspect I'm going to cover is on security and cash. Most common faults that us managers find when we do spot checks with the cashiers is they're holding too much money in the till. That should not be allowed. They should do regular safe drops, and the most they should have in the till is about £150 maximum. That's allowed for £50 load and a small number of loads in case anybody produces a £50 load. Anything over that then should be dropped. It's for their own security and also for insurance purposes as well, because if one has a robbery on the premises, insurance will not cover anything over a certain amount because of security reasons. Also, we'll be doing a role play a bit later on of a sort of trial robbery, so you can see what should or should not happen when something occurs. Provided you do regular safe drops, then the most any robber will get away with is £150. Sometimes we found cashiers about £400 or £500 in the tin, and they say, "Oh no, we're too busy, we haven't had time." Well, that too busy is not an excuse. It doesn't take long to quickly do a drop, and then everything's all safe and secure. Next thing, away from the cash and security side, is hazards around behind the counter and in the shop. Make sure there are no loose cables dragging across. Often we've gone into a site and I've seen sort of a heater plugged in somewhere and a long cable stretching across. Anybody can easily trip over that. And also, sometimes in shop areas, we've had deliveries of magazines. Boxes are scattered here, there and everywhere instead of in a neat corner while you sort it out. That again is a hazard. Anybody can trip over it, staff, customer, whoever may be coming along. So make sure that any deliveries are dealt with in a safe manner. Some of the leaflets, and also if you're cleaning floors, make sure you use a wet floor sign, yellow sign. If you don't, and somebody comes in and doesn't know the floor's wet, they can easily slip over. There's some examples here. I'll show you these leaflets around, which will come down on the website from Shell, of where these instances have not taken place, and they've had examples occurring, and it's on the back, some examples for everyone to have a look at, so I'll pass it along. Now, also another incident that has happened that will cause a hazard is they've had instances where people have been using these loaded blue cleaning rolls again. People have not been disposing of them safely in the bins where they should be. They've been putting them down the toilets and they've been going down through the drains and blocking the drains. And that can cause a problem where if you've got a blocked drain, it can have a safety issue with the toilets out of action. Again, this example come down on the website for people to have a look at. obviously a lot of it is all common sense when you're going around putting stock out in the shops, making sure that it's not scattered everywhere so people trip over. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask on those issues?
Thank you, David. Now I'd like to introduce Julie. She's been in this forecourt trade for over 30 years. I'd like to ask her to give some input about health and safety aspect. What she has come across over the years.
Yes, lots of things over 30 odd years. One thing I remember years and years ago was on a night shift. The night guy wasn't paying attention outside and he just reached out and authorised the pump. And then when he finally did look, there was a couple of lads and they'd taken the pump out, obviously a bit of vapour coming out, lit a match and the pump went up. And that was on the local news and I became a local celebrity because I was interviewed for television. But, silly things like that. He's half asleep at night and he's just like bomb, not looking to check whether the person has actually got a vehicle, let alone a can, and you've got nothing, you've just got a box of matches and lit the vapour. So, particularly at night, it's very important because if they are feeling a bit tired, they've got to, still be alert and watch what's going on. Other things, there was an incident just on Monday actually. A car must have come in with a leaking fuel tank and left quite a lot of trail behind him of fuel. Obviously I'm not out on the forecourt all the time, the forecourt cleaner had gone home, but a customer came in and actually said, have you seen your forecourt? So I went straight out and you could see the colours all, going on like that, so I got out there straight away and cleaned it up. If the customer hasn't said it, then as I say, you're not out on the forecourt all the time, but it is important to keep an eye on what's going on. There are two main things I can think of at the moment. I think I was at Golden Bay for hours, 30 years, but that's just two examples.
Thank you, Judy. Now I'd like to introduce Ken. He recently joined us in the industry, with construction and mechanical industry. Now he joined us for the trade. I'd like to introduce Ken to share some health and safety incident occurred in this industry.
This is the first time I worked in a petrol station, and the main focus is when the people come inside when the customers come inside the shop. Some people leave loads of dirt. There are some gardeners coming. There are so many people from the various places coming. So we have to make sure that the whole path is clear at all the times. Whoever leave the dirt, and any staff have to clean it. Please don't pass the buck on some others. All the staff have the responsibility to clean the shops at all the times. And apart from that, the coffee area has to be kept clean all the time for health and safety as well as hygiene. I'm sure David has highlighted on that channel a few times. Apart from that, all the staff are very loyal and they're quite good. And also in the toilet, the staff toilet, always keep the floor clean. And the customer's toilet, you have to keep on checking all the times. So many times I've seen the toilet also missing, and some customers have came to me and complained about it. Okay.
We should make sure that customers don't complain. Yeah, it has to be proactive rather than reactive.
At this point, I'm thankful to Gauri for offering this job, and also other staff for supporting me. I'm a slow learner, but I'm gaining a lot of experience, especially from David. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Now I'd like to introduce Angela. I want Angela to share some health and safety incidents happened while she's working at Ashford. I think Angela will give you a very good example what happened. It's a robbery happened at Ashford, and Angela and myself seen the video David has
Yes, yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have that disc today to show it to you, but I can describe to you what happened.
Well, what happened, it was the middle of the afternoon on Saturday, and a young lad had come in and asked the assistant if a certain packet of crisps was, so she went out, showed him where it was. As she went back, she went one side of the counter, he went the other, straight through the door, and he got a hammer in his hand. And so he threatened her, she opened the till for him, took the money out of the till, but as he was down getting the money out of the safe, she pressed the alarm button. But he did threaten her and he got away with the money. Not a lot, about 130, wasn't it? Yeah, £130, yeah.
I mean, but you've got to make sure so the cashiers or security door must be locked at all time. And if any customer come ask for anything, like, can you tell me where this was? If you're on your own, never go out. Just point it to them. Yeah, this is where the crepes, packet of crepes or the vegetables. But never go out if you're on your own. Top service already got 2 cashiers all the time. You know, places like Tunbridge, 7 hours in the afternoon, no worker. Always the security door must be locked. The customers might trick you like what they did to what's the name? Very questioning. Christine. Thank you. And as you know, Shell have introduced forecourt attendant service from 1st of January this year. It's really going well. Half of the network is doing forecourt attendant service from 10 to 4 every day. And our champion of the forecourt attendant is Ted. I like to introduce Ted. And I asked Ted to share some experience, what he come across while he's been on the forecourt serving customers, what is the near miss and protection incidents happened.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to point out that, as this young lady said and this gentleman here, on the forecourt it is a very dangerous place to be if you've got someone that doesn't know what they're doing. First of all, the amount of instances we have of people either getting out of a car with a cigarette, we have to stop that straight away because obviously there's a potential for an explosion. Secondly, they do still keep using mobile phones, and when you do try and tell some of the customers, please don't use your mobile phone, it's dangerous, they say, oh, it doesn't affect it. Well, that's the fallacy. It is static, which causes explosions, and a phone will give off its static unless you're in charge. Secondly,
and subject to that, one of the worst things that backing that up is people say, I've heard it on Top Gear, it's perfectly safe, because Top Gear says it's safe. You know, they believe that more than they believe us who are in the job that know what we're doing.
Exactly.
You know, so,
yeah, you do get that. Unfortunately, we just try to say, well, I'm sorry, I can't tell you what TV program to do.
I know.
I can only tell you the truth and the facts as they are. I've had gentlemen, just like other people have had, where they've come in, filled up their car, and they spilled diesel, £100 worth all over the forecourt. I've obviously tried to shut the garage down to make sure that I can deal with the situation. One, because of the slippery hazard, because it was raining and diesel was very slippery when it's wet. Secondly, I did have a gentleman that come up, went straight through the diesel, parked at the pump and said, I want fuel now. And I refused to serve him, and the reason I refused to serve him for is because of one, risk of sliding, and two, he was trying to convince me that diesel does not ignite. Where people get that idea from, I don't know. They wouldn't put it in cars if it didn't ignite. So it does ignite. So it has to be cleaned up straight away. You can't just leave it. It's got to be dealt with. Sand, whatever you've got at hand, it has to be dealt with. Always make sure, as far as I'm concerned as an forecourt attendant, is to make sure that your fire extinguishers are up to date, your fire extinguishers are correct, and the little tags that are on them that are in place, because if you find one that's broken, you don't know whether that fire extinguisher has been let off or it could be faulty, so it needs to be checked by the appropriate authorities to do that, which is the fire people that you have to be able to do it. Other than that, safety on the forecourt is paramount. Always keep your eyes about you, always be vigilant, because you'll always get someone that will come through a forecourt like it's a racing track, and it's not, it's a forecourt where there's petrol. And so try and slow people down if you can, but you do not get in their way. because that is one way you're going to end up very seriously hurt. We've had instances where they've actually tried to come between the punters at New Romney, which was unbelievable, and then he knocked me over, even with bollards out. Every time you do anything, you've got to work on a pump, whether it's clean it, whether it's the bollards. Always put bollards to protect yourself against the oncoming vehicles. It's the most important. Other than that, I can see everything that everybody else has said is quite correct, and it's been really nicely put.
Let me add something on it.
Yes.
Some customers come and put oil in their car when it is next to the pump. A couple of times I told them, and they spill it on the floor, and I told them to move it to this side and put it with the oil, because it takes a long time. On top of it, they bound to spill it on the floor.
That's right.
A few times I had some argument with the customer, but she just closed it and went away, and a couple of other guys came and put the oil on this side.
Well, whenever we see that, or in my particular garage, wherever we see that, we see a customer going to put their own oil in, we say, would you like us to do that for you, sir or madam?
Yeah.
And we move the car and them to one side, near the end, where they do their tyres, and it's safer that way. Leaving them on the forecourt like that is
And
dangerous, as
also,
you say.
apart from this, all the cars are queuing up, from outside.
Yeah. And the mess.
And at the same time, we have to promote our oils, so
That's correct.
we have to be very, dodgy and clever.
Yes.
And,
But we can do it.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, we've been doing it. Right, is that okay?
Thank you.
Right.
Now I'd like to introduce Kumar. He's the champion of custom service. He only joined us 5 months back. Twice he got 100% on missing walk list. Okay. And I'd like to ask Kumar whether you had any health and safety that happened at Sunlock. If you have, can you tell us?
Yeah, actually, what happened during this all day, what happened there, this tank is leak actually. She put diesel inside. Whatever go in there is coming out under the direction levels. And I told him, tell him to don't move the car, and then I'll clean the floor service and let him go after that.
You put the sand. You put the sand.
No, I put the water and the soap water and clean it.
Was diesel there?
This diesel, yeah.
Okay. Advisable is to put sand
Sand.
first,
Oh,
which
yeah.
absorb it. Yeah.
But it's clean anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because if you start, it's danger anyway for the sun.
Yeah.
Can I point out
Yeah.
one other thing that we perceived of something, another point there that I look to it, a lot of people come in, when they fill their own cars up, a lot of people, they are convinced, especially as an attendant, that they need to put diesel or petrol in their car, and I've asked, you have to ask the person several times, because you know it's a diesel car, but they want petrol. So you don't put it in, obviously. You say, well, I'm sorry, but this is a petrol car, not a diesel car. And eventually the lady understood what I was saying. She said, oh, I'm driving my husband's car, not my car. So there's the difference. You have to be very wary of that when you're an attendant. Secondly, if a customer does put their own fuel in their car and they put the wrong fuel in and it's over about 5 or 6 litres, then it's advisable not to start the car. Tell them, she said, oh, I put the wrong fuel in. So it's like, okay, so you put the fuel back up, you put the cap back on and you push the car. You do not, if it's possible, because some automatics you can't, but if it's possible, push it to one side or into the tyre bay or wherever, air bay, so that it can be done properly by an authorised dealer. You do not let them undo their cap, which some people are trying to do, and empty their own tank out. It is just not done. It is dangerous. So that's what we've advised them, and we actually give them the number of our garage and say, call these are the AA people, they're the specialists, they will come and drain your engine out or your tanker out for you and sort it out. And that's the way to go about it, not just to let them do it. Okay? That's
And also, when you put the fuel, make sure that close the cap and close it, because fuel cells, even the police came along, somebody came and said the attendant has broken the flap, and they made a big issue. I think we mentioned the audio also. The police came and see the video camera, and they finally said no, nothing has happened. What happened was this lady has came to put the petrol, and one of the attendant put it over. Yeah. And she went out after about 2 hours later. She came back, and then the boy had broken go to the flat.
Yeah,
I
be
said,
careful, yeah. When
You have to be
open
careful
up,
and check and make sure
And,
that
yeah, something back again.
when I see the CCTV and nothing has happened, so even the police came and looked at it. And apparently that lady is the chief inspector's wife.
Of course, you come under an alarm comes to do this and check to make sure it's right. So the best thing is to make sure that nothing's wrong when you do it.
Okay, Lakshman, you've been working for us at least 2 years now, isn't it? Yeah. 2 years now, it's part-time or something. And can you tell me, have you come across any incidents while you were working at the manager?
When they fill up the petrol cans and
Yes.
they bring it in, and you tell them to put it outside,
Yes.
they don't listen, they have an argument. Because as it's not good for the product and it's dangerous to bring something further into the site. So it's really weird.
Good. And if you see a car putting on the forecourt, the bonnet is smoking, the smoke coming out of the bonnet, what you will do straight away.
When they're putting the fuel in.
With the car just coming in the forecourt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would stop all the cars
Good.
and
Yes, thank you.
thank you.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Hiya.
Oh, love.
Hi there.
Hello. Hiya.
Yeah.
Number 5, yeah?
Just one or two?
Number 5, 69, 63, yeah? You get the first stuff?
How much is it?
This one.
I mean, but the wrong one is how much is double
Anything, please.
sorry, love. I'm after the scale one. That's the
9B?
Yeah, please, yeah.
We are playing this.
Come on.
Don't play with me.
Come on. The real car. Come on. Open the till. Open the till.
No, I was going to call the police anyway.
Put your hands up. Put your hands up.
Don't mess with me.
Come on.
Don't mess with me. Don't.
Good morning, love. All right.
Morning. How are you?
How's things?
Yeah.
Good. I'm after some batteries, love.
Right. Which one?
I'm after double A's, I think. Sorry, love. I'm after the scale ones. It's for my alarm.
9B.
Yeah.
One okay for you?
That's sorry, I want to snap, yeah. Come on, give me the mic. Open the till.
I'm now going to introduce Ted, who's going to demonstrate on what to do if a car comes onto the forecourt with smoke coming out.
Right. If a car comes onto the forecourt, which most drivers tend to think, oh, garage, I'll pull in, there's smoke coming out of my car. First thing is to not panic. Never panic, because there is always a way of dealing with these situations. First of all, if they pull in and the car is like this one, and you see that there is smoke coming out from outside all around it, but there is no visible signs of flames, i.e. the paintwork is not bubbling, it just is a lot of smoke. This could be caused through a radiator malfunction, which means that hot water has got onto the engine and it's just steam. There is a difference. But when you have a fire, sometimes you will find that this will tend to bubble, but also you'll get the smell of plastic burning, which is very good to keep an eye out for a fire. If they do it and the customer gets out and panics, find out as quickly as possible where the button is to release the bonnet. You then, because you are not too sure whether it is an electrical fire or a petrol fire, foam is the best one to use. And what you do is this little tag that you see on the back, you pull this out, you then release this and you hold the extinguisher at an angle and put it through the grill and press down. This will then, and then over this side, will then cover the complete engine with a foam, which will smother the fire. Do not at any stage try to put your fingers underneath to lift the bonnet. Two reasons for that. One, if you lift that bonnet and air gets into it and there's a fire and it is an actual fire with flame, it will ignite even more because there is more air getting to the fire. if, for instance, there is fire underneath the car, you should always aim your foam extinguisher underneath and try and put this out first. Always try and aim for the base of the fire. It's no good smothering a fire at the top. You have to smother the base to stop air getting to it, to stop it igniting. This way, and then obviously call the fire brigade. It's their job to deal with this sort of situation, because you do not want to say, oh, it's all right, it's out, and it ignites again. Now, obviously, every single pump, if a car comes into the garage, has to be switched off. So you obviously inform the people behind the till, do not sanction any pumps, because with vapours and fire, it will ignite. It's as simple as that. Now, the only other type of fire you may get with a car is an electrical fire. And it's at some stage, some people do, they come into the garage, their engine has got smoke coming out of it, and before you can get to them, what they've actually done is release the bonnet, and they have pulled the catch, and they have then put this up, and they are looking round, and it hasn't totally ignited, but all the plastics and the electrics over here near the battery are on fire, right? That is an electrical fire. Now, although you can still use foam, it is best if you have a CO2, because CO2 is a more efficient way of putting out an electrical fire. You then again see the tab, you pull that, you break it off, and then you press the two and you pull the ring out, and then you point this to whatever position that you need it at to put that fire out. You then press it and smother the complete area. This is like a CO, it's like an ice. Do not put your hand in front of it at any stage. You will literally have your fingers frozen. It is a dry ice situation. Okay? This one's safer, but it is a foam. Okay? And try as much as you can when you're dealing with any fire, electrical or petrol, do not try and breathe as much as the fumes in as possible. Try not to, because that will affect your lungs, and it can be very dangerous. Okay? That's all I can do to explain to safety of that.
And can we try one by one, yeah? Try to do the one.
Yeah, certainly, yes. If you like to try to make sure, I'm assuming there's the fire extinguishers. I've just driven into the forecourt and I have electrical fire. I have popped the bonnet already, but I have not lifted it. Would someone like to demonstrate to me how to put it out with the foam? Fantastic. That's exactly how you put it out, inside without lifting the bonnet. Anybody else? That's it, inside. And keep your hands away as much as possible. Do not put your hands near it, because it will burn. Yep, and don't forget, if you see when you're looking at the car and there is bits falling down underneath, and it's like little bits of fire underneath, you should also blow that out first, because all that will do is reignite the oil underneath the car if they have an oil leak or a petrol leak. It just will reignite it. That's all it will do.
Ask the driver to come out of the car.
Yeah, obviously I would assume the driver's already out of the car by then. I mean, if he's got his sense, he just wouldn't sit there. I wouldn't. Most people, they see a fire in their car, they get out, don't they?
It's the lady driver.
Yeah, it's the lady driver, you help her out. No. But that's basically, that's safety. Any fire whatsoever, whether it's a car fire or it's something's been set fire on the forecourt, anything, always aim at the base of the fire. You have to smother the fire. If you don't smother it, it will not go out. It's as simple as that. It just will keep getting out and will reignite.
At what stage they have to open the bonnet?
The only time that, if you're not too sure, as I said, is that if you see the car, and obviously it's got telltale signs, there's flames coming out, then you've got a fire. It's as simple as that. Sometimes a car will come in because what they've done is they've overheated their radiator, and there's lots and lots of light smoke, but it's steam. You have to be able to try and distinguish between the two. If you don't, then you'll be sticking that inside there and covering the car that's only got a radiator. So you obviously have to make sure you're dealing with the right type of fire. So Sorry?
Do we have to close the site?
Yes, I've already said that. You have to make sure that you get to the girls or the lady or the gentleman, whoever's on the thing, don't sanction any pumps. She will then take the appropriate action to stop the pumps, because if somebody comes out and uses a pump and puts the cart right by it, that vapour will ignite.
Outside, entrance, do we have to put the phone?
Well, yes, you would have to do that. You'd have to totally shut the site. You cannot leave the site open in any shape or form. So it's for public safety, it's for your safety, and it's for everybody is concerned. It's better off shutting the complete site, even if it be for 20 minutes, half hour. It's better to do that than have the whole garage ignite.
All the guidance in the photo, they have to leave the mountain for the safety point.
Basically, if there's a raging fire and there's flames shooting out, they've just got to go away. Forget their pump, forget their cars, forget the pumps, just turn everything off and go away from it. If they're actually in a safe distance, then let them drive out and go on their way. But other than that, no. You've got to stop it. You've got to home off the old area. You've got to make sure that everything is done dead right for your safety, customer safety, and safety of the garage. Okay?
Now the
Any questions other than that?
young lad want to try. Young
Yep.
Harvey.
Go. You've got electrical fire. Right? So what have you got to do? That's it. Point it. That's it. Right. So always stand a little bit back. Don't get too close.
No,
You
you
don't know
can't-
if it's going to push.
You can't do that. You have to pull the fish from the green pack out and
No, don't pull it.
No, you're not going to come to my house. Anyway, so do you understand the principle? You're on the full court. Can I have a go?
Come on, everyone try
Got
it.
a fire, it's coming out from underneath the car. What do you do first? There's flames dropping down under the car. What do you do? Pull the tag.
this funny food remaining part.
Underneath. That's it. Fantastic. Then you go to that part. And you put it underneath and you spray it all inside to smother it. That is it. Fantastic. Well done. You all got the principle? One more. That's it. I only had a radiator problem. Okay, right. But all joking aside, it is very important for any fire. Keep your distance. Try and get it smothered as quickly as possible. All right.
Does anybody want to try?
Lakshana?
Lakshana?
Fine.
You've got an ordinary petrifier. That's it. That's it. Underneath, all the way along. That's it. And just go underneath, a little bit underneath, just to make sure there's any drops underneath on the floor as well. Because you'll actually see little bits, when the flame starts, rubber melts, and it will drop down. But that still keeping alight will still reignite it. Okay? That's fantastic. You're doing brilliant. Never ever use water. If in some garages they do still have them, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, they have a water extinguisher, right? Never use a water on any chemical fire or any electrical fire. First of all, water will conduct the electricity. You will get a shock, and if it doesn't kill you, because it will actually, if it's a chemical fire and you put, like, you had a chip fire indoors, right? Chip fan, it was on fire. You wouldn't chuck water in it, would you? Why? Because it would splash everywhere. The whole house would go up. It's the same with any sort of fuel, which is a liquid. It must never be used with water. It's always foam or CO2. It's as simple as that. Water is only meant to spray paper, wood, and mundane things like that. Apart from obviously the fire brigade, we have very high pressure hoses, which they will then, it just gets rid of everything.
At that stage, we had to use sometimes we had to use the sand to put the fire on the floor.
Well, once obviously you're taking it beyond that, once the car's been then removed from the site, you must always check and see what's on the ground. Sand should be put down first. Sand absorbs all the flammable liquids, everything that's left there. It will absorb it, it will smother it. And then what you do is you clean it all up as best as possible and use your floor cleaner, whatever, to get rid of the residue, so there is nothing left on there for another customer to come along and have a problem. And also, obviously, if it's by the pumps, you've got to check, make sure the pump's all in good condition. If the pump's got slightly burnt, you've got to shut that pump down until it's been looked at by a professional. End of story. It's as simple as that. And that
hours, attending Safety Day and taking that time to really think about Goal Zero. We had a message from Mel Lane this morning, who I don't know if any of you know, she's the General Manager of UK Retail, and she asked us on Safety Day to consider three things. First thing being, what is our biggest risk, both at home and at work? Because sometimes you think, oh, we're safe in the work environment, it's all fine, you know, all the procedures are set up. But at home, we get a bit lazy, we get a bit sloppy, we think it doesn't really matter. Something that I thought about this morning is that my smoke alarms in my house have stopped working and I haven't replaced them. And I was thinking about this when I was making myself some toast and thinking, you know what, something quite easily happened, but I'm not so good at putting out fires as you. So, you know, that's something in my mind that I'm thinking, all right, I keep putting it off because I'm busy, but, you know, it's not going to take me that long to do that, and it can keep it safe. The second thing Mel asked us to think about is how we can keep other people safe. So if we notice other people at risk, that we're safe to intervene, that we feel okay with that, and we're not sort of nervous and thinking, oh, well, it's not really my responsibility. And the third thing she asked is really that we reflect very carefully on what it is that we can do, as I say, in our personal lives, to make it a lot, going forward, to make our lives safer, to set up processes and systems. There's a bit of noise in the background there. So I just ask you all to do that, really, so that not just when you come to work, when you're at home, but you know the people you care about. So, and you know, some of your colleagues you might not get on with brilliantly, I don't know, but I'm sure that you all know of the last incident where there was a guy who tried to prevent a drive-off. Mark, we've discussed that, yeah, and was dragged down the road and lost his leg. So I'm sure we don't want to see that, and we don't want to see that on all of our sides, that kind of thing. So it's really thinking ahead and thinking, what can I do to make sure I'm safe, my family's safe.